In your book, you talk about being a family man. How do you handle hosting the show that we just talked about, the magnitude of it and how popular it is? And you're a father of 6.
Yeah. It's not anything new for most folks. You know, everybody deals with the work-family balance and how you navigate that. My wife Cheryl and I have had the best scheduling, I guess. You know, I go to work twice a week in the studio. I'm working on the NBA all the time, but I need to be there on Tuesday and Thursday nights, playoffs all the time. My wife has had jobs as a CEO of a nonprofit that's fighting sex trafficking. Her schedule, my schedule, somehow they mesh. And then you've got older children who are grown and want to help with a handicapped child like Michael that we have. We just have a great team. And so, like everybody out there, you kind of sometimes you look at the schedule for the week and say, how the heck are we going to do this? Yeah. And somehow it gets done.
Early in the show's history, and I'm watching, I'm a hoops addict, you know, a junkie, and I'm watching him going, Ernie seems to me to be the kind of guy who likes to prepare and have everything buttoned up. And how is this at what point were you like, all right, this is something new?
You know, I think that I still prepare like crazy. Sure. And I still have way more at my disposal for a show that I'm never going to use. Mm-hmm. But that, to me, is being prepared. But the best thing that ever happened in my career was having Chuck and Kenny, and then Shaq, because it really just let the show go. And the book is unscripted. You know, it describes the show, it describes our lives, but that's the way you want to do a show. You know, we never have these guys out here 5 minutes before we start. They never come to production meetings. You know, I'm in there, the producer's in there, the graphics crew is in there, but we don't want these guys to know what we're going to do. We just, you know, we want to have a roadmap, the producer and I, and then we want to hit these guys with stuff. You know, people call me the traffic cop of the show. I'm the rogue traffic cop. I'm the traffic cop who's saying,
collision.
Who's saying, Kenny, come on into the intersection. It's all clear, knowing that Shaq is going to T-bone him coming this way, and that's why it works.
I remember seeing the piece on you where they, because you're so meticulous in terms of your preparation and being ready for the show, somebody stole your notes and what have you, playing around with you, and you got so ticked off. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, okay, that's Chuck, that's Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Right now with Shaq and his crazy self on it, who's the one most likely to play jokes on you now? Is it Shaq or is it Barkley?
Shaq doesn't want to play jokes on me. Shaq just wants me to be part of what he's doing, because he's always working with his music or doing, you know, we're 20 seconds before halftime. He's got some music going on and he's starting to sing it and he's recording at the same time, and he's like, Ernie, sing this verse with me. You got like 2 billion YouTube hits. I said, Shaq, we got to do a show really good. It'll get like 10 million YouTube hits. And that's what I live with, right, day in and day out. You know, Charles is the one who, at Kenny's behest, ripped up my notes one night. You know, can you imagine that?
Yes.
I mean, if somebody reaches over and the stuff you've been prepping for, the stuff you've been working on for 2 days, they rip it in half, 2 segments to go in the show.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not dumb enough to swing on Chuck.
Right.
But I was like, you see this hot coffee? It could easily slip out of my hands and wind up right here if you ever touch my stuff again.
Right.
And so that was one of the few times really that I was kind of like, hold me back.
Right.
But but please hold me back, because I'm not gonna go at Chuck.
That's right.
Yeah.
When you sit here and you think about some of the things, I mean, obviously the show is absolutely phenomenal. It's can't miss television. We've seen Shaquille O'Neal with the JaVale McGee thing. We've seen, Shaquille O'Neal recently with Durant. We saw Barkley with the whole LeBron stuff. I mean, we love it as far as I'm concerned. They're talking basketball. They never get personal. I don't have any problems with it. But today's generation of players seems to have changed. I know if anyone notices that, it would be you. Talk to me about that and how you believe the show has managed to adjust to that.
I think that, obviously social media has become part of the fabric of that show. You know, early on it was like, really, we have to put a tweet on TV now? I mean, and we had producers who were like, no, that's a fad, it's going to pass. No, that's very much part of it now. And it's instantaneous. So the things that we used to say years ago about a player, you might see 3 days later, here's his response. And now, by the end of the segment, here's the response. So you said that about, and to me...
Sometimes from the locker room.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And look, if these guys, Charles was doing his job. Charles is looking at what, if LeBron's going to come out and say this about what the Cavs need to do, that's fair game for us to talk about, obviously. I didn't have a problem with that situation at all, and them going back and forth. I thought JaVale and Shaq went too far. I think that got personal and that got petty, and it got to be two grown men acting like they were just about to start freshman year in high school. And it's like, they're both better than that. So you don't, if somebody's going to do their job and somebody's going to critique someone, but when it gets to threats and that kind of thing, come on, you're better than that.
How do you stop it from being too self-indulgent, right? Because you see other shows start to really indulge themselves in terms of the characters and the relationships on the show, and it gets self-indulgent. And you guys do that, and my wife, who does not follow sports, can't stop watching the show with me. Like, I get to keep on the post game because you guys are doing your thing. So how do you thread that needle?
That's difficult. I think sometimes we probably do cross the line. We shouldn't be the story. We should be reporting the story. And, but I think part of it also is, we want folks to know if a player's going to tweet out about sitting and watching our show, that may seem self-serving and self-indulgent, but it's also kind of like, you know what? We kind of have the ear of the league, okay? Players listen to us. Even the players who say, "Oh no, I never watched."
Yeah, they always.
I don't care about that. What does he know? He never won anything. And what does he? They listen, and I think there is value in what the guys on our show, Kenny, Charles, and Shaq, bring to the table, because they've been in every conceivable NBA situation, whether they've won championships or not. They've been in every situation, and look, the current player can learn from guys who have been there, and not just be obstinate and say, well, what do those guys know? That was back then. No, they've got values and they've got information that is valuable to players today.